The City Council of Minneapolis has done it. They have made history. They are planning to defund and dismantle their police department. This came from a Twitter site, Local Progress. Yeah, this is going to be progress. This is what they said. This is their declaration. Decades of police reform efforts have proved that the Minneapolis Police Department cannot be reformed and will never be accountable for its actions. We're here today to begin the process of ending the Minneapolis Police Department and creating a new transformative model for cultivating safety in our city. We recognize that we don't have all the answers about what a police future looks like, but our community does. Now, did you hear that? The leaders don't have a clue, but the community does. Yeah, does the word vigilante come up? We're committed to engaging with every willing community member in the city of Minneapolis over the next year to identify what safety looks like for everyone. We'll be taking intermediate steps towards ending the MPD through the budget process and other policy and budget decisions over the coming weeks and months. Well, that's just a nice way of saying we're cutting off all your funds and you're not getting another damn dime. So you can bet the first thing that's going to go is the police academy. You don't need a police force. What do you need a police academy for? So we'll shut that down first. All these cars that were burned up, the precinct that was burned up, those aren't going to be replaced. All the equipment that was lost in that precinct, that's not going to be replaced. Why should it? There's not going to be anyone to man the stations. So, to the veterans in the Minneapolis Police Department that have your retirement set in place, get the hell out now. Resign immediately, put your house up for sale, and leave. I think we're going to see a huge demographic shift, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. To the rookies, resign. You're young, and there are plenty of police departments, sheriff's departments that would appreciate your service. But these are not those cities. Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Dallas. Yeah, you don't want to come to Dallas. That's where I live. And those sons of bitches are in so much trouble with their pension fund with the police and the fire department. They have no idea what they're going to do. Austin, no surprise there. St. Louis, Chicago, New York. Yeah, New York's going to be good if their whole force, or half of them, I saw what the chief said the other day, but they're not appreciated. The mayor doesn't appreciate them. The governor doesn't appreciate them. Hell, half the boroughs don't appreciate them. Well, if you're not appreciated, what the hell? Let's see, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, there's a shocker. Washington, D.C., yeah, no. Who the hell would want to work there anyway? In fact, we really need to think about moving the capital out of there and just letting that whole thing implode on itself. And Durham, North Carolina, those are the ones that are currently on the map of defunding. So that's the last place you want to go. Leave, and leave now. But sadly, I'm sure more cities will be added to this as the political correctness really takes hold and all these spineless councilmen cave in to mob rule. I mean, look at Seattle. What's her name? Durkham? Oh, they're having a block party. They've occupied 6 square blocks of my city. If I was in the Seattle Police Department, I'd say, screw you, and we're gone. You cannot have a group of people take over your town. I don't care if it's 1 square block. It's called an insurrection, but she thinks we're reliving the 60s. Yeah, and hate Ashbury and the Summer of Love. Well, if you really looked into the Summer of Love and at Hate Ashbury, there's a real good documentary on it that shows just how prevalent disease, VD, gonorrhea, God, I forgot what another disease was, but the free clinic was overwhelmed with all these sick kids because they were filthy, they were dirty, they had no hygiene. But hey, that was the Summer of Love. Yeah, screw that shit too. What else did this article say? I didn't mean to get off track, and I have to wear this eye patch. It's a long story, but I have to wear it so I can read off the screen. What other crap did they say in this? Or does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. I made the point. But you know, there's one thing. You got the Minnesota Timberwolves, Minnesota Twins, Minnesota Vikings. I forgot what the name of the hockey team is. You guys might think real serious about pulling up stakes. Because you're not going to have any police force at the games. Yeah, you can hire your own security. But every game I've gone to, there are police officers there. And think about your school system now. Did you have officers walking the halls to make sure law and order was maintained? Now we're going to turn that over to social services, and they're going to sing Kumbaya to the kids that don't want to follow the rules, and everyone will live happily ever after, and that's a bunch of shit too. You know, when you look at the expansion of America in the 19th century, we've seen the Western movies. Yes, they're Hollywood. They're glamorized at times. But if you read enough of those stories, the Wild West was exactly that. There was no law and order. People policed themselves. And how did that work? Yeah, it didn't. You wound up with gangs. I mean, hell, we're opening up the door like Prohibition did in the 20s. Now we're going to have gangs running cities, and you're going to be extorted for money for protection. I believe those of you who saw The Godfather saw how well that worked out. And that wasn't a fantasy. These things happen. So now we're going to fall back 140 years and retest history again. Now, if that's just not the biggest bunch of crap, but hey, if that's what you guys want to do, to you officers up in Minneapolis and every other city that is having this brain fart that we're going to defund and we're going to police ourselves, retire immediately. Don't wait. You got your time in. Retire. Pack your family up and move to where you think is going to be a safe city. Because these big ones, we're going to go back to the 92 riots in L.A., the 2020 riots we saw here, 2014 in Baltimore. This is going to become, as everyone says, the new norm. Yeah, welcome to the new norm. Isn't it going to be wonderful? To all of you officers that think you can get security jobs, that's great. But the first question I would ask the people wanting the security is, did you agree with defunding the police? And if they say yes, then send them your prayers and thoughts and move on to the next customer. There will be a portion that will have to take the jobs, and not like them. But for those that don't need it, find someone who actually has your back. Because if you pull security for someone who doesn't have your back, guess who they're going to come after if something goes wrong and they don't think you took the proper precautions to keep them safe? Yeah, you're going to get sued even if you're bonded. You're going to have a huge insurance premium, which that's not going to be cheap. And your employer is going to laugh at you. And with the employer deal, so the city council says it's going to take them a year to do this. In my business of construction, if I knew my boss was going to let me go, do you think I waited until the hammer fell without a backup plan? Absolutely not. Jeff, we're going to have to let you go in about a month. Yeah, right. No, just let me go today so I can start looking for a job, because there is nothing that says you won't change your mind and let me go tomorrow or in a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm gone. And if I had wind that I was going to be released, I had already been looking, so when that company did let me go, I already had a job lined up. They have told you you're not going to be there in a year. Why wait? They don't have your back. They've made it very clear. They don't like you. They don't want you, and they don't need you. Well, hell, why am I still here? Honey, pack up the kids, put the house on the market, because we're getting out of Dodge now. Not when these inbred, ignorant council people think it's their decision and their control on my employment. No, I'm going to save you all the trouble. I'm just going to leave. And that goes for all of the officers in these cities that don't have your back. I understand you are committed to serve and protect. You love what you do. There's a reason you got into this. The reason is still good, but not in these cities. They don't want you. And for those that do have retirement, like I said, file your papers, move on, because they're defunding you. And those retirement programs could be on their hit list, no matter what they say. Like I said earlier, Dallas is upside down. If all the officers and the firemen could retire at one time, this city would either have to get a massive loan from Uncle Sam. Yeah, I don't see that happening. Or get a bunch of bridge bank loans, but who's going to loan them that type of money without a real solid guarantee they can pay it back? So it's time to really think about who you want to protect and serve, and who and what cities want you and need you. Because the ones you're with and the ones I listed, they've already made it very clear what their stance is. And I just cannot believe this is the level the America I love has fallen to. I respect what you guys do. It is a high-stress job. It is the most difficult job. The way you all are treated today is the same way our Vietnam veterans were treated when they came home. They went overseas and served their country, and when they came back, they were vilified, they were spit on, they were called names. They couldn't understand why this was happening because we had a bunch of ignorant, hippie, little shits that blamed you for what LBJ got us into. And don't anyone come back and talk about JFK, because those were all advisors, and the South Vietnamese army was fighting all of the actions except in the helicopters, and you can read about it. LBJ is the one that inflamed it and got our American boys engaged in an Asian boy war. And he did make that statement that no American boys are going to go over and fight a war that Asian boys ought to be taking. What a bunch of shit. And this is what you're seeing right now. You are being treated the same as those boys that went overseas and died for this country. They didn't question the cause. They didn't question the politics. They went. And they died, and they were maimed, and they were wounded, and they were physically corrupted and mentally damaged. I'd have to look up the suicide rate of the veterans that came back, but I'm sure it was extremely high. You all are being treated the same. You don't have to put up with it. There are enough of us in America that will stand up for you and support you. Those that don't, leave. Because guys and gals, they don't want you there.